From the sun-baked sands of ancient Egypt to the sprawling empire of Rome, power wasn't always seized by might alone. Often, it was subtly and sometimes brutally forged in the guise of divine will. Step with us now into the shadowy corridors where ancient rulers didn't just govern, but masterfully manipulated the very fabric of belief to secure their divine right. Welcome to Echoes of Time, your portal to the forgotten pages of history. Today, we reveal a secret that lies under the dust of centuries, a story that never quite made it into the mainstream history books, the dark art of manipulating fate. We delve into a profound and often unsettling strategy employed by history's most cunning leaders, those who understood that perceived fate was a far more potent weapon than any army. For centuries, civilizations believed implicitly in signs, portents, and the pronouncements of seers. The very fabric of their societies, the rise and fall of kings and empires, seemed to hang on the whispers of the gods, delivered through these celestial or earthly omens. But what if these omens, these seemingly unassailable decrees of destiny, were nothing more than elaborate theatrical productions, meticulously orchestrated deceptions designed to control the masses and consolidate absolute power? This is the central enigma we confront. Were the prophecies truly divine, or were they cunningly forged? Imagine a world where every rustle of leaves, every flight of a bird, every celestial alignment held immense political weight. This was the reality for vast swaths of the ancient world, from the Fertile Crescent to the Mediterranean coast. Across these civilizations, the belief in divine intervention and destiny was not a fringe concept, but the bedrock of existence. Kings, pharaohs, and emperors were not merely temporal leaders. They were often seen as intermediaries, chosen by the gods, or even gods incarnate. This sacred connection endowed them with an authority far surpassing mere human decree. Yet, with such power came the immense pressure to maintain this perceived divine favor, especially in times of crisis, rebellion, or expansion. It was within this crucible of belief and ambition that the art of the forged omen found its most fertile ground. The manipulation wasn't about denying the existence of the divine, but rather about co-opting its voice, bending its pronouncements to earthly will, and ultimately securing an unyielding authority. One of the most striking examples of this calculated art comes from the heart of the Roman Republic and Empire, the practice of augury. Here, the flight of birds, the patterns of entrails, or the veracity of sacred chickens were not just casual observations, they were pivotal political tools. An unfavorable augury could halt political proceedings, postpone elections, or even prevent a military campaign from commencing. Conversely, a positive omen could initiate wars, validate controversial laws, or lend divine sanction to a new emperor's ascension. The official interpreters, the augurs, held immense power, their pronouncements capable of shifting the entire course of the Roman state. The question that has long plagued historians is how much of this was genuine faith versus politically convenient interpretations. Were these esteemed figures truly communing with the gods, or were they skilled actors, reading not the will of Jupiter, but the desires of the ruling elite? The lines were often blurred, perhaps intentionally, allowing for a profound ambiguity that could be exploited by those in power. A shrewd general, for instance, might ensure his sacred chickens were starved before a crucial battle if he wished to avoid engagement, only to have them eat ravenously when a tactical advantage was certain. The outward display was one of pious adherence to divine will, the underlying reality a meticulously planned strategic maneuver. Further east, in the timeless lands of Egypt, the pharaohs crafted their dynasties and justified their vast expansion through an even grander theater of divine revelation. The pharaoh was not merely a ruler, but a living god, a direct descendant of the sun god Ra, or intimately connected with the pantheon of Egyptian deities. To challenge the pharaoh was to challenge the gods themselves, to disrupt the cosmic order of Ma'at. Pharaohs strategically employed divine revelations to solidify their rule, commission grand building projects, or wage wars of conquest. Such declarations often ashined in an awestruck populace that the gods themselves had appeared to him in a dream, blessing his every move, guaranteeing victory, and commanding the expansion of Egypt's dominion. Such declarations, often enshrined in monumental inscriptions or depicted in temple reliefs, served not just as historical records, but as powerful propaganda, reinforcing the pharaoh's unassailable position and divine mandate. The legitimacy of their rule, the very stability of their civilization, rested upon the belief in these sacred connections, connections that astute pharaohs masterfully curated and presented to their people. Every success was a divine endorsement, every challenge a test of faith, overcome only by the pharaoh's unwavering connection to the heavens. And then, in the cradle of civilization, ancient Mesopotamia, kings claimed direct communion with the gods to quell rebellions or declare new laws. From the Sumerian city-states to the mighty Babylonian and Assyrian empires, the relationship between ruler and deity was often presented as a personal, intimate dialogue. Kings were seen as shepherds of their people, appointed by the heavens, and their pronouncements carried the weight of divine law. When dissent simmered, or new, potentially unpopular decrees needed to be implemented, a Mesopotamian king might declare that the god Enlil or Shamash had appeared to him in a vision, dictating the new law or commanding harsh retribution against rebels. These divine encounters were not mere suggestions, but absolute commands designed to bypass human debate and instill immediate compliance. The claim of direct communion transformed earthly governance into a sacred duty, making resistance not merely treasonous, but sacrilegious. It was a potent combination of spiritual authority and raw political power, wielded with devastating effectiveness to maintain order and justify the most ambitious political agendas. The meticulous records of these divine communications, inscribed on clay tablets or stelae, served as enduring proof of the king's unique status, forever binding the earthly realm to the cosmic will, or at least its carefully constructed interpretation. Past attempts to explain these phenomena have ranged from deep-seated superstition to sophisticated psychological warfare. Some scholars argue that these ancient societies were genuinely steeped in a profound, pervasive spiritual belief, where the lines between the natural and supernatural were practically non-existent. In this view, rulers themselves might have been genuinely deluded by their own prophecies, convinced of their divine connection, and truly believing in the omens they presented. Their actions, then, would be a reflection of their sincere faith, albeit a faith that conveniently aligned with their political aspirations. The power of collective belief could manifest in ways that, to a modern mind, seem irrational, but within their cultural framework were entirely logical and real. The omens were believed because to doubt them was to doubt the very order of the universe. However, a more cynical, yet equally compelling perspective views these rulers not as deluded devotees, but as master illusionists. They were cunning strategists, exploiting widespread fear and devotion for pragmatic political gain. From this vantage point, the elaborate rituals, the pronouncements of seers, the intricate interpretations of omens were meticulously crafted performances. These rulers understood the psychology of their people, the deep human need for certainty, the awe inspired by the supernatural, and the fear of divine retribution. They leveraged these powerful emotions, transforming them into a sophisticated form of psychological warfare. By carefully staging divine interventions or conveniently interpreting natural phenomena, they could quell dissent, inspire armies, and consolidate control over vast populations without expending a single extra soldier. It was a strategic manipulation of collective consciousness, a grand illusion played out on the stage of history, with the fate of millions hanging in the balance. Could these elaborate deceptions be seen as early forms of state propaganda? Absolutely. Long before the advent of mass media, these ancient rulers were masters of narrative control. By presenting their actions as divinely ordained, they crafted a compelling story that united diverse populations under a common belief system. This narrative provided a powerful ideological framework, fostering loyalty, discouraging rebellion, and justifying the social hierarchy. It transformed political ambition into a sacred mission, making dissent not merely a challenge to authority, but a blasphemous act against the gods themselves. The omens, then, served as powerful legitimizing tools, shaping public opinion and ensuring social cohesion, often through fear and unwavering faith. The spectacle of divine endorsement, repeated across generations, became an integral part of the state's apparatus, a weapon of control as potent as any military legion or bureaucratic decree. Yet the full extent of their calculated art remains debated, and it's here that we navigate the most intriguing complexities. Was it truly one or the other? Genuine spiritual belief versus pragmatic political ambition? Or was there, as many scholars now propose, a complex interplay between the two? Perhaps the rulers themselves genuinely believed in their divine mandate, but were also acutely aware of the political utility of that belief. They might have interpreted ambiguous omens in their favor, not out of cynicism, but out of a conviction that their chosen path was indeed the divine will, and that any sign supporting it was merely confirmation. The spiritual and the political were not separate spheres in the ancient world, they were inextricably intertwined. A king who genuinely believed he was favored by the gods would naturally interpret signs in a way that reinforced his legitimacy and goals, seeing divine handiwork in every convenient twist of fate. This complex interplay suggests a nuanced reality where conviction and calculation danced a delicate, powerful duet, shaping the destiny of empires. We challenge you to reconsider the narratives woven by history's victors, to look beyond the surface of divine pronouncements and question the true source of their unyielding authority. Was it the genuine whisper of the gods guiding the hand of destiny, or the strategic genius of ancient rulers masterfully forging the very omens that shaped their world? As we delve into these echoes of humanity's great history, we are left to ponder. To what extent does the manipulation of belief, even today, continue to shape our perceived reality and dictate the course of our collective fate?